Good evening and thank you for joining us. I am site owner. I will be moderating tonight's voters' choice debate among candidates for the Ridgeway County Executive. This is the first election in Ridgeway history, and we are here to help you make informed decisions by asking the candidates questions that will give you a glimpse as to how they are going to improve Ridgeway County. There are some ground rules that the candidates have agreed to. Candidates will not speak out of order, and they will stay between the agreed upon time limits. If a candidate violates these rules, he or she will be given one warning. A second infraction will lead to a removal from this debate. Here is the format for the debate tonight. When asked a question, the first candidate will have 60 seconds to respond, followed by a 30-second rebuttal from each candidate. Then, at the moderator's discretion, a 30-second response from the initial candidate. We have a broad selection of questions ranging from law and order to general welfare. These questions have been uniquely created by a team consisting of Large Titanic 2, Captain Nico, and myself. We will have some citizen questions that were obtained from a questionnaire conducted by the Ridgeway News Network. And you, the people watching on Twitch, can ask the candidates a question through Twitter. You can start now by using the hashtag RNNDebate, and we may choose your questions to ask. The two candidates here tonight are each hoping to become the first Ridgeway County executive. Joining us today is Matrix Culture and Dorado Underwood. Unfortunately, Zhao is human, and Gucci Download are not able to attend this debate, but they will give a response to these questions in the summary article coming out on the RNN website shortly following the conclusion of the debate. Good evening, gentlemen. Are we ready to begin?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Alrighty, sounds good. Let's begin. Each of the candidates may now give their opening statements, the order of which was determined at random. Matrix Culture, you are first.
Thank you for having me. My friends, I'm here this podium for one reason: to make our county a better place for all those who seek to contribute. I'm here because I will not hesitate to implement the necessary plans to build our county and state. I will not hesitate to make sure we have a business framework for the people. I am here because I will not hesitate to create a just judicial system. In fact, I will get to work on day one because I will not hesitate to achieve the potential this county has. But we must work together. I can only do this with you and your help. So tomorrow and the day after that, vote for me so that we can get things done starting on day one.
Alrighty, Dorado Underwood.
Good evening. As all of you know, my name is Dorado Underwood, and we should be setting realistic goals, realistic achievements, and a realistic timeline on keeping goals reasonable and not far-fetched. Keep that in mind, all of you. I have no political experience, but some of the greatest things come from nothing. It's my voice, but it's your choice. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, Dorado. For our first segment, we will begin with covering topics related to law and order. Matrix, how will you address the rampant crime problem within the county?
Well, currently being a member of the military police under the National Guard and a corporal within the RCSO, I see crime, on a daily basis, and gang members, all that stuff. But the point being is that criminals, being truthful, criminals, they help the game. I mean, without criminals, we wouldn't have a need for cops and everything that follows. So point being, from being in the RCSO, people like Matt Extro, Lieutenant of CID, he leads, operations against these criminals to combat the crime within the county. Scouting things like raids on key buildings and like statues, such as County Hall. Raids such as that. It's important that we are able to combat these things, and I believe that currently we are doing a good job, but things could definitely be better. And much easier to progress.
Dorado, you have 30 seconds to respond to Matrix statements.
Alrighty. So, with the crime rate that we have right now, I would like to say that crime rate is going through the roof. Nothing's getting better from even the gang units from RCSO or the tactical response unit from Palmer Police Department. I'm currently a police officer with the Palmer Police Department training division, and every single time a police officer goes on patrol, we always discharge our service weapon. Now that needs to be reduced, but also what Matt said was we have criminals that make the game active, possibly talking about maybe rising, gun prices, or even the RFID price up, and things like that may actually help out the crime situation with gangs just joining the game and causing.
Time is called. Matrix, you have 30 seconds to give another response to him.
I mean, yeah, you addressed the fact that, I said that, criminals help this game, but it's true, as I said before. But point being is that in addressing crime within Ridgeway, yes, it should be to the point where every time I go to Sterling and I go and I decide to go get a firearm, I shouldn't get killed as soon as I leave. I shouldn't have to be killed as soon as I leave the gun club. I shouldn't have to be targeted every time I decide, hey, I'm going to go buy a firearm to protect myself, or, things of that nature. And I believe it's important that we address these issues. And in terms of, within departments themselves, it's important that we address these issues, especially in intelligence. As I mentioned before, CID. It's important that they look into places, things like this.
Time is called. Alrighty, Dorado, what do you identify as key problems within law enforcement agencies?
Some of the key problems that I see currently One moment.
Your time is still running.
Some of the key problems that I see currently are as we so soon into the game, just having its release, we already have gun dealers in departments. I believe that background checks more extensive need to be done on individuals into other Game Pass, other games, gangs, all that type of stuff. And I believe that's what is lacking at the moment, and more strategic placement of beat patrols and districts where police departments will actually be patrolling different jurisdictions and things as such.
Your time has been called. Matrix, you can give a response. I believe it's important that we address police accountability, and it's important that police, our law enforcement is held accountable for the things that they do. Being that we've already had our first dealer, and I believe dealers before that, I mean, that's a big issue. Given that, these are the same people that went through a 3-week process to become law enforcement, just to, risk to throw it away, all by giving another person a gun, or giving themselves guns. You get what I'm saying, on alts and everything like that. So, actually, one of my plans was to write a memo or work with the county board in establishing something, empowering people to report things such as corruption, conflict of interest, any potential things that with evidence, of course, to report these things to the district attorney for investigation, or, our future district attorney. It's important that our, not just internal affairs, but our law enforcement is held accountable.
Alrighty. Dorado, would you like to give a response to that?
I do not have a response to that.
All right. We'll move on. Matrix culture. What laws would you support in relation to employment rights within the county?
In terms of laws, I've discussed this very lightly with candidates for the county board, and I began drafting with the help of my team a something that would be an ordinance, a county protection for employment, basically outlining the reasons in which a member of the county could be fired and could not be fired, as well as the reasons as to their protection. I mean, they shouldn't be getting fired or terminated off of things that have no substance. Substance is very important in 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 any termination, any action taken. It has to have a reason, and people have people have brought these things up and litigated it. Speaking about termination and things of that things of that nature, and that's what really empowered me to to write something like this and begin writing a county employment protection act because as I said before, with law enforcement, they need to be held accountable, and especially the department
Alrighty, your time
heads.
has been called. Dorado, you may respond.
For employee rights, as Matt said, we need to be able to protect the employees of departments and, the upcoming departments that hopefully are to come out. People shouldn't be getting fired or investigated for things that are happening outside of Ridgeway County. They shouldn't be being targeted for things like what happens in DMs or things like that outside of Ridgeway County. Real problems should be directed towards the administration as on a tip line or something like that. But for employees, a new outline should be released. Employee rights are a very sensitive topic for many, and I believe that there should be an act in place giving exact reasoning for firing employees. This will help protect employees. This is something that is a very common problem, and oftentimes people are fired for no apparent reason or reasons that are grudges or held against people.
I'm going to go ahead and stop you there. We've hit time. Do you have any response? Matrix?
Yeah, actually. So
Go ahead.
as you said, I agree that county employment that is something it's a specific topic, but I mean, from what I've heard you say, we need specific regulations and good laws to protect our employees. And the best you can come up with is a tip line. And not even specifically, you just said of some sort. So, I mean, do you have anything in place for county employment and protection and things of that sort, or are you just going on a limb?
Dorado, you can respond.
I am currently working on getting something out there that we can, have an exact legislature for employment rights.
All right, and what is that?
Currently, with hopefully verification from Square or one of the employers, developers, I'm working on a website that hopefully will have each county board member and the county executive, of course, as well as department heads all on it. And we can all work together on setting up a employment rights and regulations.
Sai, can I respond?
Sure.
Or- All right. So something you said previously was that we need stricter background checks to prevent things like dealing and things of that nature. Correct? It's like as everybody agrees, it's important that we have something in place for county employment protection. But as I said before, you talk about stricter background checks on employees, but then you also said that things such as things outside of Ridgeway should not affect you. And I mean, let's say, for example, somebody goes rogue in another county. I mean, should that be taken into account? Because you said we need stricter background checks. And I mean, who's to say? I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I'm saying who's to say that the same thing doesn't happen here and the same dealers elsewhere come here and do the same thing. So you kind of contradicted yourself. So I wanted a little explanation on that.
You can respond.
I did contradict myself. I agree, Matt, that, you can't. What I directly meant was you shouldn't be holding grudges against people which risk their job. As if you come from another game or you have some sort of reputation that one person doesn't like, it's not solely, there's no evidence to back up what they believe. That's what I wanted to directly mean.
Alrighty. We'll go ahead and move on from this. Thank you very much, Dorado. Going on to Matrix. Do you believe departments should make their policies open and available? If so, how would you achieve that?
Rightfully so. Some departments have their policy redacted for specific reasons, and I agree with that 100%. But they also have policies that are open to the public, so the public can see a little bit of what's going on and everything like that. I believe it's important to have that bit of transparency in terms of departmental, from the departmental side. In terms of the things that are redacted, probably redacted for a reason. And I mean, for speaking off of personal experience, things like MP and RCSO were held under an NDA. So for certain things that can't be released to the public, that's notably so, and of course they're for a reason. But for the policies that are open to the public, I mean, fair game. I believe it's important to be transparent.
Alrighty, Dorado, you can respond.
As it's important for the public to know what's going on behind the scenes, it should be to a certain extent what people should be able to know. Citizens have the right to request information from police departments to find out information on something that happened, maybe from a news network or, a bill that's coming up in Congress. But citizens shouldn't be requesting information on, classified documents, as Matt said, redacted stuff. That stuff should stay secret, redacted, because there's a reason behind it. There's a reason it's classified, and it shouldn't be released. It would risk our security.
Do you have any response to that, Matrix?
I heard you mention Congress. Why?
As you're allowed to ask what's about to come out, as it involves the citizens.
Congress.
It's in our Constitution.
We're talking about the same thing, right? Congress, you said, right?
Yeah, you and me are talking about the same thing.
We're talking about Noosa Congress.
Talking about Congress in general, as a general topic.
All right. How did it go from that to general topic? I'm talking about, you mentioned Congress. I don't think
Are you talking about Noosa Congress, or are you talking about the county board?
County board.
Okay.
That's the county board. Congress is a separate thing.
Do you have any response, Matrix, or can I move on?
No, that's it.
Alrighty. Thank you, Matrix. We'll go on to Dorado. How would you increase transparency in law enforcement departments?
I don't have an answer for that.
Alrighty, Matrix, you're up.
As for transparency, I believe, as said before, this was kind of this was addressed a bit in the previous question. As rightfully so, departments have some things that are redacted, but I believe that for the things that can be shared with the public that doesn't breach our security as a county, it should be important that specific things are released so people know what's going on, people have an idea what's going on, and in order for this to happen, I would correlate with department heads and speaking about this, and speaking about transparency. I believe transparency within government is important, especially with the things that they won't. It's not going to do any harm. I mean, people want to know what's going on, so I think that's important.
Question was, how would you increase transparency in law enforcement departments? I'll let you take another swing at that.
As I said before, I would talk with department heads and correlate so that we can get things.
But how does that increase transparency with people who are wanting to know what a department is doing or what they do in daily operations? So how would you increase public information throughout all that?
Well, I mean, public affairs is there for a reason. As I said before, talking with department heads, making sure that their public affairs is doing their part, and speaking out about things such, doing events. Speaking of events, the event that Large Titanic did the other day, really good event.
So would you legislate that?
I mean, in terms of legislating events, that gets very specific, and I mean, it's something that can be done in the future, but as of right now, I don't see legislation for things such as events and transparency. I believe it's important, but as of right now, it's not something that should be legislated on because, as I said before, it would be something very specific, and yeah.
Do you have any response, Dorado?
I do have a response.
Go ahead.
So I believe that after an initial incident happens, that the public should be addressed accordingly from a department or, county legislation. Now, for departments with transparency, I believe that departments should be giving weekly updates to the public, not just the public affairs department or public relations department or unit, whatever you want to say. It shouldn't be their sole duty to show transparency to the public. It should be up to the whole department, not just one unit. And showing the whole department its challenge to show what its routine duties from a day-to-day basis are. That's how I believe that we can show more transparency from police departments or just departments in general in Ridgeway.
Would you mandate this?
I would mandate it weekly, every Sunday.
Alrighty.
Wait, sorry. Can I get a chance to quickly
Sure,
respond?
you can respond.
It's just something short, nothing too crazy. I just want to say that I would work with the DA and make sure that departments publicize employment requirements and terminations. I believe, as I said before, I wasn't very specific with, in terms of, the question you asked with legislating on it. As I said before, I wouldn't legislate as of right now on events, but I do believe it's important that we, increase transparency and stuff like that by, as I said before, working with the DA, making sure that departments are publicizing employment requirements and believe terminations, so they have a general idea of what's going on.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Now, terminations and things like that, do the public really want to know about that stuff? I mean, I think people want to know more about, not just job opportunities, terminations, or investigations. They want to get more involved with these departments. They want to see more from these departments. They want more information from these departments, not those solely three things.
My thing is, who are you to determine what the people want to know? I mean, some people, they want stuff like not investigation, but things such as termination to be released. I'll give an example. Cool Blood, the other day, very big incident. And the PPD chief even but decided to make a public statement regarding it. And I mean, it was wide scaled, and I mean, everybody wanted to see the termination, know what was going on. So point being is that who are you to say what the people want? I mean, I believe what I said was pretty important. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yep, you can get one response and then we'll move on.
Alrighty. So I'm not saying totally what everybody wants to hear. I know not what everything I've said is what people would want to hear from a candidate on the stage, but people want to hear mostly of what I already said, but terminations and things like that, those investigations are essential to be released to the public after 48 or 24 hours from the incident that occurred, like Cool Blood from the use of force incident. But I'm pretty sure, I mean, the public can correct me if I'm wrong in the chats, but they want to know more information about the department's general routines and duties, not just specific certain things that restrict them from knowing more information.
Alrighty, we're going to move on from that. Our final question for the law and order portion of the debate goes out to Matrix Culture. What do you think of the current internal affairs situation, and if applicable, what would you do to better it?
From experience, being in internal affairs in NUSA, not like that holds much standing here, but from what I've seen and from what I know, I mean, internal affairs definitely could use some work, and I believe that we should be coordinating with the DA, the next district attorney, and having somewhat of a check on powers for internal affairs. As of right now, the only check on powers as for internal affairs is department heads in command. And I believe that the district attorney, in certain situations, as I stated, one of the first things I've said, in terms of people who believe that they've been terminated unjustly, conflict of interest, biasness, things like corruption, empowering them to report situations as such to the district attorney, and working hand in hand with the district attorney and the betterment of situations, especially regarding internal affairs.
Alrighty, Dorado Underwood, you can get a response.
What I currently think about the internal affairs situation, right now I think that we should have more evidence needs to be provided on certain situations. Now, this being said, more information, more evidence, even though maybe some things may be classified, but evidence on certain topics, like incidents from the dealings and things of such, need to be released to the public. And evidence should be released to the public on blacklists from departments and things like that involve internal affairs checks, and internal affair background checks of conflict of interest specifically need to be more in-depth looked at. Now, there shouldn't be people applying to departments that get denied solely because someone doesn't like them. Now, the problem with this is that departments have classified that the information about the background check is classified and cannot be released, which is the problem.
We're getting off topic right now. We're talking about internal affairs situation.
Right, the internal affairs conduct background checks. Am I correct?
So. That's fair, yeah.
Internal affairs conduct background checks, or military police conduct background checks if we're talking about Ridgeway National Guard. But the point here is that background checks need to be more looked into. If you have, internal affairs individuals who look into someone that's their friend, what's going to happen? The person's most likely going to...
I'm going to have to call time. Matrix, do you have a response?
Yeah. So in listening to your response, all I heard was what ifs and stuff like that. I never heard a general plan for things as such. Just really, just rambling.
Response, Dorado?
My rambling, I'm trying to point out certain key points within internal affairs, the situation.
But how are you going to combat these situations? Sorry for talking over you.
How are we going to combat these situations? We can We can talk about this between department heads and the county board, as well as the public, which should be involved in deciding how we deal with it.
And another thing was you mentioned IA does background checks. That's CID.
It depends on the department.
Well,
Can I speak?
yeah, I thought you were done.
I wasn't done. So for Ridgeway National Guard, is there an internal affairs? I don't think so. Actually, there is one coming out, maybe.
We're getting off topic right now and debating the semantics of how internal affairs mechanisms work. We're going to be moving on to business. This first question goes out to Dorado Underwood. What type of businesses would you like to see in the county?
Some of the businesses that I would like to see out in the county is I would like to put possibly if we could have some, as I know we don't have maybe a taxi organization or association, but a taxi association would be pretty key for Ridgeway, as not a lot of people have, the money to buy cars, or their cars keep getting blown up. Having a taxi association may help with the commute of people from place to place. Even though we do have a bus for that, the transit authority is not always online. We have transit authority, but a taxi association would be probably a key part in one of the businesses that I would like to see implemented to Ridgeway County.
Matrix, you can give your response.
I believe it's important that we utilize the resources that we currently have. And yes, a taxi association or business would be cool, but I mean, that's, this would be a secondary, I believe something that would be, a little side thing. I mean, people already do taxi services, say, hey, can I drive you around? But point being, I like to see businesses such as law firms, gun dealing, not the type where, not the law enforcement type, private security firms, things as such. I also, not to point anybody out, but Malvin, I know Malvin, he has a little food corporation going on, things like commodities and things as such. Long ago, before we were introduced to the idea of government in Ridgeway, the burger joint, people loved that. Turned into a really big thing. People from community updates saw it, and I mean, it was something that people went to often. I mean, just to meet around, have fun. I believe businesses like those are important and bring activity and the fun aspect to Ridgeway.
Dorado,
Yes.
do you have a response?
I do have a response.
Go ahead.
Now, candidate Matrix said that we should use the resources that we have. We do have taxis in the game, and I'm pretty sure someone's already made a taxi association. Now, having a law firm when we don't really have any bar certification set in place wouldn't really work out really well, and we don't even have a court set up to help people get their records expunged. But that's off topic. We need things that are going to be more interactive with individuals of the community, and having a food service is interactive, but are people really going to role play in Ridgeway County, as most people see that we don't have role playing to a really high extent?
Can I rebuttal?
Go ahead.
All right, so I saw you mention that we have no bar system, we have no court. So these are all things that we plan on eventually doing, businesses that we would eventually like to see. And I mean, in my plans at least, I have a plan for a court system. For my plans at least, I have a plan for a bar system. All which would eventually have to be discussed with developer oversight. But at the end of the day, I have those plans, and that's something that I eventually want to get done. And in saying that, these are relevant because, especially bringing up the law firms, stuff like that, people, I know very, very, very bright legal minds that would like to set up a law firm and, would like to explore the legal side of things within Ridgeway. And I believe once our courts are set up and once our judiciary is set up, our bar system, I believe that'll be important.
So can I respond to that real quick?
Sure. You'll be the last, though.
Alrighty, Matrix. That was completely not even really related to the topic of business. Now, as you know, Sai has said that we've went off topic multiple times. I have myself, but that was all rambling. That was all about what you're going to do about the court system, not what type of businesses you would like to see in Ridgeway County. And, you know, these are set goals that you and me and myself and you have set in place for the courts and the DOJ and the bar, or however you said you want to set in place. But that was, I didn't see anything related to business there.
Law firm is a business.
Alrighty, let's continue moving on now. On to our next question here. Matrix, what is your vision for the economic state of the county?
In terms of economics, something I've planned with myself and my team, especially having to do with business and economy and everything like that. A general concept of what business, what commerce, and our economy will look like for the next few months. Setting up things such as business registration, setting up special operating licenses, and preparing for businesses within Ridgeway. I know people are very urgent on getting their businesses out there and focusing on the economy and everything like that. So I believe I have the plans. Well, not believe, I know I have the plans in place to get that done.
Dorado?
Economy goals that, the state of county Ridgeway has. Now, as Matt said, most people want to see their businesses getting set up in Ridgeway County. These private businesses and private-owned businesses, that would be a huge factor for economy. Having this said, we need to have a committee set up to have these businesses set in. That's off topic.
Well, you said a committee, right? So
yeah,
what committee is this? Fruit that out.
So the committee that I would like to see be put in place for Ridgeway County is a committee that would be able to filter businesses that are in the right direction, having certain criteria for businesses to meet before being released to the public, making sure, they're safe, making sure they have actual perceived goals, and having certain actual aspects to these businesses that will make a economy impact and have some more interaction between citizens, our businesses, which will interact with our economy.
And
Matrix, do you have any response?
That statement was very confusing, but just to add on to what I was saying quickly, adding on to what I was saying before, people rely on money farming, things like that, to keep their economy going, to keep cash flow coming into their bank and pocket and everything like that. So there should be other features besides public servant jobs and law enforcement, where people can get money and be a part of the economy.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
As I did say, these businesses, as you agreed, will have a certain impact on our economy. We need to discuss with development oversight, maybe having jobs that will have people earn money. And certain jobs only. Jobs that the committee, as I said, would verify to have actual jobs within the county that will have people be able to make money from. That's what I wanted to say.
Alrighty. We'll be moving on to the next question. Matrix culture. How would you promote commerce?
As I said before, I believe businesses business within Ridgeway would be very important. And this is a discussion that we should have with developer oversight. But in terms of promoting commerce, I mean, there's already people within Ridgeway that are eager, as I said before, to get their businesses set up and new and innovative ideas. So people who have these ideas can apply for business registration and have these things set up under, well, in my plans, I have them set up under the clerk's office and adding additional duties to the clerk of the court. Sorry, not the clerk of the court, clerk of the county. But yeah, I believe that the clerk can openly announce the fact that we're open for business. Well, when the time comes, and that anybody who has new innovative ideas for their business or have long-term goals for their business should come forward and register.
Dorado, you have a response?
Having one specific person in charge of businesses, business registration, in fact, what is to say that that one person isn't going to decline someone due to a certain reason? That's not a part of the criteria. Having a set amount of people, maybe 7-10 people, part of the committee, that will all vote on what businesses that are good to be put into the county, and ways that this would be promoted. This could be announced within a Discord channel or Discord that my administration would put and set up and have ready for right on release or election, that people can come forward and register their businesses.
May I respond?
You can respond.
So I know earlier in your statement you addressed the fact that under one person. To clarify, I meant under the clerk's office, and at that it would be with the approval and consent of the county board and county executive, so that one decision does not rely on one person. And yes, I do agree with what you're saying. It's important that we have multiple people looking at something, and as opposed to one person. Given the fact that there can be many things that would play a role in business registration in terms of conflict of interest, biasness, things of that such.
Can I say something, Sai? One last thing?
Go ahead.
All right, for commerce, like promotion and things like that, we could possibly set up a public Discord, which would be solely for businesses that could be advertised, and different businesses could come in there and advertise their businesses. Not that we already have something in place for people to advertise their businesses, but this would be one that's set up by the committee. It would be have regulations set in place, and furthermore advertise these businesses and help gain publicity overall, citizen involvement and interaction. So I would personally like to see a committee instead of a head. Instead of one person, a group of people. That's it.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and move on to the next set of questions about the county executive position. So we'll go ahead and start off with Matrix here. How long would it take for you to settle into your new position if you were elected?
Well, I mean, as I said before, I would love to get working on day one. Personally, I already know that will be almost impossible, given the fact that there will have to be an establishment of rules within the county board. And as I said before, yes, I do want to get working on day one, if possible. And if not possible, then working as soon as possible. Yeah, I'm ready to as soon as I'm sworn in, as soon as I take position, I'm ready to get to work.
And what about you, Dorado?
How long would it take for me to settle in? It wouldn't take me weeks to settle in. It would take me a matter of days. I'm going to be realistic. You have to be able to set up everything and have everything organized and neatly, and having everything set up how you should want it for when you settle in and get everything rolling. I would start working right when I'm sworn in. and right away start working on everything that people would like to see.
Can I respond?
Go ahead.
So first you said realistically, I'm gonna take a few, I'm not gonna take weeks, I'm gonna take days. But then you said on the first day you're gonna get to work. My thing is that you're just contradicting yourself. At first you were saying that it would take you a couple days, you're gonna be realistic about it. Then
Can I say something?
Oh my. Looks like he did the gone. Yeah, you can say something.
All right. I don't believe I contradicted myself at all. What I was saying was that it would be realistic for me to take 3 days to actually set into my position and start having things being signed out and actually finished for it to be introduced to the county board. I believe it would take me 1 day. On the first day I am signed a oathed in that I would start working. That clarifies what I was saying.
Slight owner intermission to get Matrix back in.
I believe he just joined back now.
yeah, apologies. I don't know if you guys heard
There he
everything I
is.
said beforehand. So
You cut out a bit.
all right. So should I just say the entire thing again, or should I
He
start?
responded to it. We'll go ahead and move on. Did you hear what he said?
No.
Alrighty. We'll go ahead and move on then.
All right.
So the county executive position, if you've ever seen like the executive office of the president and how it has all of these underlying offices inside of it, how would you organize your office of the county executive? We will begin with Matrix.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
How would you organize your office?
Well, county executive was tasked with the appointment of the next PPD chief, next major general of the RNG, and positions to come. As you know, many positions aren't set up, many departments aren't set up as well. Point being, in terms of managing positions, within my campaign staff itself, I already have, a few base people that have been with me since the beginning of my campaign, and they've helped me set up a lot of the things that I've done. My team has helped me with policy proposal, things as such. And in terms of organization, of course, starting off with the chief of staff, going from there, internal staff, and then branching off to appointments and things of that nature.
May I respond?
Yep.
All right. For upcoming department heads, we shouldn't really be planning who's going to be the next department head. For maybe the sheriff's office, I would like to see elections for the sheriff to keep it more realistic.
There will be elections.
There are elections.
Alrighty. Thank you for the correction. I would appreciate it, Matt, if you didn't interrupt me. But for, department heads, keeping the people that are already working their butts off, that are in the department, to go up to the next level. Normally, how it goes on is the person that's below the department head normally takes the department head position when the department head leaves or resigns or gets fired or any of those reasons. We shouldn't be planning to remove, the department heads. And yes, having people that are base are good, but having the people that have worked really hard to get into a department and work their way up, I believe should be the ones that take those leadership positions in these departments. And I believe that's how we will stay successful in Ridgeway.
Sorry.
You want to respond?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So you brought up removal, and and you said I shouldn't be thinking about the next department heads or whatever, whatever you said. My point being is I never said I would remove those people. I never said I would put someone new in. I'm saying for the next people to follow whoever is there. Those people can be the same people. They can be different people. Point being is that, I never spoke about removing any department heads. Never talking about adding new ones. And in terms of, you said you spoke about the staff that I had already had and people that I had in mind. I was talking about internal staff. I actually made that pretty clear. I talked about chief of staff and everything, below that, above that.
Can I say something?
Move on. We are cutting ourselves close on time. Dorado Underwood, what do you find yourself doing on the daily as county executive?
On the daily, I want to be as transparent as I can possibly be for the public as everyone's watching. On the daily, I am on mostly after 3 o'clock after I am done with my school. And I see myself interacting with the public a lot. And that's a generic thing for someone that's running for this type of position to say. But really having maybe rallies, events, and things that will really involve different departments as a joint connection. Having, having weekly meetings with the county board and seeing what our weekly goals should be, as well as department heads, what our weekly goals should be. But the things I want to do every single day is interact with the community, because the community is the only thing you have as a county executive. That's the only thing, the only people putting you to the position that you want to go to and that you want to serve in. That's all I have to say.
Go ahead, Matrix. You can give your response.
On a daily basis, I want to be able to converse with the people, talk with people, as I currently do. I believe I'm fairly engaged with the community, fairly active within Ridgeway. And I mean, this is usually not the time where you don't see me in game. Point being is that as county executive, I will continue my activity. I'll be someone that you see quite often. And in terms of engaging and speaking with the community, doing things like referendums and getting people's opinions on bills or executive orders, things of that nature. I believe they're all important. So on a daily basis, speak with the community, and continue to stay engaged.
Alrighty. You want to respond?
I'd like to add one thing to what I was going to
ahead.
say. Each day I would like to set out a form that the public can sign and give, daily updates on how they believe my administration is improving the community and how our departments are getting better or getting worse. So we can keep a nice graph and timeline and goals set for these departments.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on to our final segment consisting of miscellaneous questions. Dorado, do you plan on hosting events for the people of the county? And if so, what events do you have in mind?
Events that I could have hosted. One that really popped in my mind as you were saying that question is that we could possibly have a ball set up at one of these houses that we can use this housing system that just came out. Having this housing system, we can have a ball set up or event at these houses that will have a lot of community interactions, which we could use the local police department or public servants to show security. And we can have these businesses come down and do show department recruitment. And now another event that I had in mind was having, this is a more basic one, is a job fair. we can have a job fair, and not only bringing down these police departments that people see every single time they go to a job fair, but we can bring out new businesses that are getting certified by the committee to come out, and they can actually show and speak about their businesses.
Ready. What about you, Matrix?
I believe some things I would like to see in terms of events for regular citizens, people in government. I would like to see rallies in the next couple of days over the course of time, town halls, people to be ask Q&As, speak openly, voice their concerns, things of that nature. So that I can continue to be engaged, but others are getting their voices heard on topics that are important to them. As for Dorado, you actually you got this. I mean, I agree with you on the job fair. Job fair is, I believe, fairly important for people, looking for jobs. Not only so that they can apply, but ask questions for those at the job fair. In addition, I like to see for law enforcement the creation of the Live Fire Act. For events as such, it would require approval from the department head and the county executive. But I believe events like that are important so that people can break away, not people, but people in law enforcement can break away from the everyday job of enforcing the law and have some fun.
Alrighty. We're going to be moving on now. Dorado Underwood, where do you see the National Guard and what they should be used for, and where do you see them fitting in?
Where do I believe to see, the National Guard and their interactions? Now, primarily I see the National Guard used for crisis situations. Now, crisis events that happen within our county that our local law enforcement cannot handle. And I don't mean that in a bad way, that our law enforcement cannot handle these situations, but these situations like gang wars that are to a high extent that our law enforcement are overwhelmed. And this is when the National Guard should really be utilized. And where I see them fitting in is we already see them in our county. They're at their base, and they have a nice area that is set for the National Guard, and it's the MEZ, Military Exclusion Zone. Now, possibly having them more around the county, not when only they get deployed, but maybe we have them more in interactions with our community so people have more of a view of the National Guard. That's how I see the National Guard primarily being used, and where I see them being fitted for in Ridgeway County.
Matrix, do you have a response?
Being a member of the National Guard under the Military Police Detachment, I've seen every day from the point I've been hired that guardsmen sit at base, and yes, they're being effective, but I can get it. It can be boring. It could be, it could be a little. It's not fun to just sit at base all day and practically just wait for someone to come and shoot up the base, or for someone to trespass. I believe it's important that we establish a threatcon readiness so that we can deploy the National Guard when needed. And each threatcon level will have certain regulations, and I hope to work with. Sorry, I know you're the moderator, but I hope to work with the Major General of the National Guard on things as such. In terms of more things to do and more responsibilities, I believe it's important to establish sentries for the National Guard so that they can further protect key places within the county, such as the county hall, protect the county hall. And it gets much more engagement given the fact that they're in the public. They have more interaction, more engagement, and they can actually combat more crime given that they're not just at an excluded base on a separate island.
Can I say something in return?
Yep.
Now, Matrix, you said that you're a guardsman yourself. Thank you for your service with our National Guard. But you signed up knowing that you would be at that base. these people that are in the National Guard signed up knowing they would be serving in the National Guard in their base. And not seeing them outside of the base is, a concern that most people, mostly the National Guard, would like to see themselves more out of their base, out of their zone. And maybe we could set up routes for them to drive, and not stopping at, car dealership or Sterling where they're most likely going to get shot, but having routes where they can drive around the map. But they signed up knowing that it's going to be boring. That's my point.
All right. Do
you have a response, Matrix?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So you mentioned in some of your beginning statements that I signed up knowing that things would be boring. Well, first off, I'm part of the military police. Given I can go off base when asked or when there's lots of trouble within the county. But that's a separate point. But being honest, I mean, they want more responsibilities. I mean, who's to say that because of this, not activity, because the activity within the National Guard is actually really good. But point being is that who is saying that further people will decide that they don't want to come to the National Guard because all they do or all they tasked with for now, on an everyday basis is securing the mess. And yes, that is a responsibility that they signed up to take on. But I do believe it's important to, expand their responsibilities and their opportunities for things like state of emergencies, allowing them to deploy throughout the county, the military police detachment, as well as the guardsmen, being able to patrol and protect the county. I believe that's all important, and it's essential to the activity of the National Guard in the long run.
Alrighty. Let's go ahead and move on to our final question of the night. We'll go and start with Dorado Underwood. Are you comfortable with the level of federal oversight in Ridgeway? If elected, would you fight for more federal oversight or less federal oversight?
I believe that we should have less federal oversight, and we should really let it be up to our county to have more of a county interaction instead of having a federal level over Ridgeway County. Having the federal government come in here, even though maybe they're not even in Ridgeway County, have them make decisions for us. I believe I can say this myself since I am a Ridgeway County citizen, Matrix, that we would like to see lesser of a federal government oversight over Ridgeway County. If I were to be elected, it would be less federal government oversight. Thank you.
Matrix, you can respond.
As for right now, I don't see a problem with the federal oversight currently being only the Transit Authority in that integration with the Department of Transportation. I believe that so far, Joel's, who's the current Secretary of Transportation, as well as the Deputy Director, Tom, they set a good example for the rest of for the next Secretaries of Transportation to come within the federal government. I believe they set a good example of oversight within RCTA and have really set the tone for the next to come. Other than that, I don't believe that there's much federal oversight over Ridgeway. I mean, Congress cannot interfere with Ridgeway, especially in a malicious manner. And I mean, developer oversight gets involved for things as such as whether that even be within our own county board and county executive myself. I mean, not myself, but hopefully to be the fact that developer oversight will step in if there's a problem or something that they believe is unjust within the federal government. The same goes for the county of Ridgeway.
You're not answering the question, though. I don't care about what the developer oversight is going to do because you're not developer oversight. Do you support more or less federal government interaction in Ridgeway?
I already said that I believe that the only federal oversight is transit authority and that they've conveyed it well. That's what I said.
I'm asking, do you want more or less, though? It's a simple yes or no question.
I don't want more or less. I believe that we're just fine with
So
the
you want to
oversight
keep
that there
things
is now.
currently as they are. So you want to keep things currently as they are.
Currently, the only oversight that the federal government has any control over Ridgeway in any way possible is something that was agreed with developer oversight and the director of transit. So, yes, that is fine. I believe that there should be no less, no more. Everything should stay the same. There's no problem until there's a problem is when it can be addressed. But as for right now, as I've said before, Tom Skipetsky and Joel have represented DOT well in RCTA, I believe. And I believe Large can say the same.
Alrighty. Do you have a response to that, Dorado?
Everything I wanted to say was in my first response. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you very much. We'll be go ahead and moving to the conclusion. That concludes this Voters' Choice debate. We would like to thank everyone who is currently watching for supporting the Ridgeway News Network and bearing with all the cringe that just took place in the last 1 hour and 6 minutes. We're going to go ahead and now to closing remarks. We can start with Matrix. Go ahead and deliver your closing remarks.
Sorry, apologies. Things just lagged for me. All right. So you said closing remarks, correct?
Closing remarks.
All right. So I'm here today because I am laser focused on establishing our county. Through our businesses, through transparency, through our departments, through our government, I will work with you, the people, to get things done on day one, to make sure that the county achieves its potential. Now, there are people, there are people who don't support me and won't support me, and there are people who do. But that's okay. Tomorrow, I want you to vote with your conscience because know this: as your county executive, I will make sure not to only be the representative of my own voters, but I will be the county executive for all citizens of Ridgeway, including you. So after this election, keep yourself involved because you are the people. I hope to hear from you as county executive. Thank you.
Dorado, your closing remarks.
Thank you, everybody, for listening to me up on stage, even though I have, once I said at the beginning, I have no political background, but some of the greatest things come from nothing. And I'm working my hardest to try to achieve something that is high-fetched but achievable. Each and every single one of you have a duty tomorrow is to go in to the courthouse and vote. It's your choice to choose who you want in the office for county executive. Someone competent, knows what they're doing. Thank you.
Alrighty, I would like to give a brief thanks to Matrix Culture and Dorado Underwood for giving us a moment of their time to participate in these debates today. And we would like to thank our viewers and wish them a good night and to remind them to cast their votes as that starts in just a few hours. And we will see you for our continued election coverage on our Twitter at twitter.com/RNNRBLX. Be on the lookout for the After Action Report article on this debate, which can be found on the Ridgeway News Network website. Thank you very much and have a great evening.
All right, so that was the first debate. It's kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie with you. Sorry if there were any people jumping around. Debater, whatever his name is, I don't know, did a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie. He was aware of all the cringe that happened. Dorado, stated Matrix incorrect. It's Matrix. I don't know, but I think I'm not biased, but I Matrix has my vote. I'm sorry, but in terms of fun, I'm not supposed to give my opinion, but I'm gonna give my opinion. Once again, let's thank our sponsor, Virtual Entities, Fast, Secure, Roblox Limiteds. I even copped one. Don't tell Roblox Moderation. And to those wondering when our next episode will be out soon. Alright, so once again, thank you to like my 5 to 8 viewers. We are clearly the underdogs in this battle against RNN. No, I'm kidding. It's not a battle. Actually, thank you to RNN. They allowed me to have free cam and just let me be there overall. So once again, thank you and good night.
Can you feel it? Too long. Can you feel it? Too long. Can you feel it? Too long. Can you feel it? I see you feel the way I do. The feeling so true. The good feelings coming through. My mind is set so free. I'm where I want to be to get the best of me. Can you feel it? Too long. Can you feel it? Too long. Can you feel it? Too long. Can you feel it? Much too long, I feel it coming on. The feeling's getting strong. It's been much too long, I feel it coming on. The feeling's in my bones.